Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the My Ransom Notes podcast, the Noah radio show for newly opening and awakening hearts. I'm kind of doing a impromptu spur of the moment podcast just because I have been watching some of this news about Donald Trump and about the stuff that was going on in Charlottesville. And I just wanted to make a point that I'm sure everyone who has ever been affected by narcissistic abuse is recognizing all over the place. Red flags, warning signs that we just cannot believe that this is our president. Just absolutely the most appalling thing I've ever seen. And now listen, I am not a political person. I don't typically watch the news. I'm embarrassed to say that, but I have, it's kind of fear pornography in my mind most of the time, and it's imbalanced usually with a lot of really negative stuff because that's what gets a lot of viewers. With the way that I tend to empathize, it can really, really affect my ability to cope and be a productive person. And so I try and really be very careful about the stuff that I take in. My husband kind of screens some things for me. And if he thinks there's something that I really should pay attention to, he lets me know. And he did tell me about this Trump thing and said, you really ought to talk about that on your channel. Of course, the minute I just watched this stuff, I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, of course I knew he was right. I hate to say this, but you know when I watch that guy, I just see my dad all over the place. I see my dad and I see my ex-husband and I think, geez, neither one of my father or my ex-husband would be suitable to be the president. I can tell you that. Fundamental principles, it doesn't matter if you're a president or you're a dishwasher. It doesn't matter. The principles of narcissism are the same and they just can't seem to help it. The thing that matters to him, this incredible crisis has happened. This thing that just takes this country. We have such a problem with race in this country. I mean, it is such a problem. It feels like we go one step forward or two steps forward, maybe one step back. Hopefully it's that way, not two steps. We are slow learners when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, but a rich white guy has to be especially careful what he's going to say. Okay. So him getting up there with all his stupid blowhard stuff about everything that he does, about people immigrating into this country and everything that our country is sort of based on. But I see this guy talking about this thing that happened over there in Charlottesville. And it's like, on the one hand, I'm cringing because I'm almost embarrassed. I just embarrassed what he's going to say. Like I'm embarrassed for him about what he's going to say, because I know he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I also know that whatever he says, he's going to have to make it right. This is the problem. This is what's so scary about him is that because I have this thing, I can parallel it with my own personal experience, which is sort of strange to be able to do, but I can take, have this thing that happens in my personal experience and I can expand it out and I can watch what's happening and it's scary because the thing I thought was really, really shocking about it was that he seemed to be trying to act like these people were history buffs or something, that this was all about a statue and ignoring the fact that they were there chanting something about blood and earth or something like that. It was a Nazi slogan. That's what they were chanting. And they were chanting something against Jews and they were chanting something about you'll not replace us. I mean, if this does not, that, and I only recently, without even knowing about this, I recently put up a thumbnail of Hitler and the Nazis on my channel. And then lo and behold, it's actually a slogan that they were saying that these people were chanting. He claims that this violence was going on both sides, that there was some sort of a thing that just kind of got out of control and everyone was on both sides. Yeah, so anyway, so basically he blames the violence on both sides. And he was clearly defending racist protesters. There is no defense for that. I mean, some things are indefensible. Right? I mean, this is one of the things that's indefensible. Apparently, they were wearing like his campaign jerseys and his campaign hats and things like that. He had a responsibility to come out and tell these people who apparently would listen to him that they did the wrong thing. And there was a person killed. There was a person violently killed with a car. A car ran through this group of people and killed this woman. It was just awful. And you know what he did? He talked about how the mother of that woman who died, how she had approved of him or something, her opinion of him, rather than the fact that this woman lost her daughter. And then he gets focused on how he has this house in Charlottesville and he starts focusing on his own he starts talking about himself in Charlottesville. What in the hell does he have to do with any of this? He's not the important point here. And he's bragging. He actually starts bragging about his house in Charlottesville. And actually some of the brags that he tells are not even true. That he, talks about the size of his winery and it's not even true. The statements he makes are not even true. So it's everything classic that a narcissist does, right? It's all about him. He misspeaks. Oh, and this is the funniest part, is he talking about wanting to be careful what he said because he just doesn't want to just say something because you want to make sure he has all his facts straight before he says anything. This guy is notorious for not doing that. He's just exactly what he doesn't do. And so watch how he also gets so down in the muck with like reporters and stuff. Anyone who questions him. Now forget it. The reporters do their job. That's what reporters do. It is their job, after all, to report the news. And it's not their job to be friendly with him. He acts exactly like a narcissist would. He just acts like, even to question him makes them absolutely contemptible. But it was talking about how they were trying to take down this Robert E. Lee statue. He starts getting into talking about George Washington and Benjamin Franklin and who were slave owners and who were not. It's all just completely off the point, and as though they're even in the same category as Robert E. Lee. I mean, he's trying to act like there's some kind of history buffs, that these people were not doing exactly what they were doing, that they were not there shouting Nazi phrases and trying to intimidate people with neo-Nazi and trying to play the press has treated them unfairly. That there's just some fine people and there was just a few troublemakers on both sides causing all this trouble. I mean, it was just really incredible that this was something that he wouldn't just know. I mean, I don't know. In a way, those of us who have concerns about narcissistic abuse and those of us who have been personally so affected by it, maybe as unbearable as this is for all of us to see, it might be just the very thing, because if anything is going to bring this into the mainstream consciousness, this guy certainly is doing it. I mean, here now everybody gets to see the kind of ridiculous behavior that we've all grown up with and been around all of our lives. I mean, this guy just sounds exactly like my dad. On the upside, he is going to implode. He's making a fool out of himself. He is bringing a lot of attention to the social problem of narcissism. He's getting people that were maybe they may have never been affected by a narcissist in their personal life. He's getting them very aware and very much on the opposite side of narcissists, I mean, we all know the name now. Everyone knows the word narcissist nowadays, and that he is one. And so it's not going to be something that I wouldn't think people are going to be aware of it when they see it now. They're going to recognize what they're looking at. I'm hoping. He doesn't wait for the facts. We know that. Even if this country hadn't been tormented by race troubles all of its whole history long, these wounds are fresh. And the words that he spoke were just so ill-considered, just so ill-considered and untrue and insensitive. And the remarks that he made following that revealed, who he really is and what he thinks about, fairness. And if the president has any role in binding the country's consciousness or healing the country's wounds or appealing to the better consciousness, the better side of who we are, God help us, right?